her ambition in 1997. In the years that followed, she got married and raised a family. Everything was going well until recently she lost her younger sister, Hee-young, following a battle with cancer. They had always been close.
She loves me a lot, and we used to sleep together at night, and we talk about everything. We have fun. We always have fun.
Her sister's death hit her hard. But just days after an emotional trip to visit Hee-young's grave in Borneo, Ivy is to face a further blow at the hands of a heartless thief. It's rush hour in the early summer, and Ivy is at a railway station.
My workplace has asked me if I could go to East London to do some training.
She's only just returned to work after visiting her sister's grave in Borneo and can't stop thinking about her loss.
When I got back, I was still full of sadness because I miss her so much. I was full of grief. I was all over the place.
Perhaps because her mind is elsewhere, Ivy doesn't realise this man is following her.
I didn't notice anything funny going on, not many people around me.
By the time she gets to the bottom of the stairs, the man is undoing her bag. He swiftly removes her purse, then pulls his arm away and walks on. A short while later, as Ivy tries to work out which way to go, the man loiters nearby, perhaps looking for another target. Ivy leaves the station, totally unaware of what's just happened. A couple of commuters are a short distance behind her. One of them stops Ivy just out of camera view.
A man was pulling my rucksack and said, "Your bag is open."
She checks her bag and realises her purse is missing.
I was really shattered and panicked.
Ivy retraces her steps, hoping to find the purse. She usually only carries one bank card in a pocket, but today all her cards and her driving licence are in the purse.
Because I just lost my sister. There's a lot of things in my mind, and I do things out of ordinary.
As she reaches the platform, Ivy realises the purse isn't lost, it's been stolen.
I felt very sick, really, sick to the stomach, and I have to report it.
A station guard takes her to call the police. When an officer arrives, he helps Ivy alert her bank and credit card companies. But when she calls them, she discovers transactions have already gone through.
I was shivering with shock and panic. These are all big transactions, like £500. Still more and more phone call coming in saying that, "Have you made that transaction?" I said, "No, my card being stolen."
Ivy's case is taken up by British Transport Police Officer Mian Ikram. Mian is an expert in catching thieves who use railway stations as their hunting ground.
They look for the ideal victim. They assess their vulnerability. Victims are in their own thoughts towards their journey, not aware of what's exactly going on, and they will prey on those victims.
Ivy's case joins 3 other reports of pickpocketing that have just landed on Mian's desk.
The one thing which was common, that wallet or a phone has been taken from a backpack. Second thing which was common was the DLR stations.
All 4 thefts have taken place on the Docklands Light Railway, the DLR in East London.
Victims are walking towards these trains and they did not even feel that somebody walking right behind them, opening their bags, removing the property.
Mian suspects the crimes are the work of the same person. In each case, stolen bank cards have been used in nearby shops. He looks at other recent theft reports nearby to see if any bear the same hallmark, and finds an even bigger series of crimes that had started 3 weeks earlier.
On the very first week, we had 6 incidents. On the second week, we have 7 or 8 incidents. By the third week, I was investigating 22 incidents.
That's 22 victims who have lost money, bank cards and phones, all likely to have been targeted by the same pickpocket. Mian tracks down the CCTV footage of each theft and speaks to the victim.
All of them has some story to tell. It could be my mom, it could be my sister, it could be my next door neighbor. And it was very difficult not to be impacted.
And it turns out these crimes are just the tip of the iceberg. Later, Meanne analyses the CCTV for each incident and a prime suspect emerges.
I know my person now, and we were about to close our circle around him.
This looks like a nice neighbourhood, and this looks like a nice woman out for a stroll. But maybe she's not so nice, because she's helping herself to a parcel left on someone else's doorstep. It might look like she's nabbed it on impulse, but this is an organised crime, because she has organised a getaway driver. Mind you, the whole idea of having a getaway car is that you, get away. And that's rather tricky if a car rolls up and stops right in front of you. This silver car isn't going to budge, because it turns out it's the owner of the house who's just come back, seen what they're up to, and is trying to block them in. So the thieves decide it's time to play past that parcel. And now they decide it's time to scram. But the homeowner has memorised their number plate. And the woman's face has been caught on camera too. So not long after, the postman knocks on her door with a special delivery. A summons to appear in court. The woman pleads guilty and collects an unwelcome package from the judge. 120 days in jail. This man is a regular visitor to the local post office, but there's nothing regular about what he does this time. Once inside, he turns into a sinister armed robber. The man escapes, but he soon finds out he's picked on the wrong postcode. Just across the river from the town of Dartmouth is the village of Kingswear. Married couple Jason and Joe run the local post office. Jason was born and raised in nearby Brixham, but Joe is American. They met online.
Just by talking in a chat room sort of thing, and we became friends.
So we came to visit, and I remember I was so nervous, but then when I saw him come through arrivals, I was just like, oh, he's cuter than I thought. So then he asked if I wanted to be his girlfriend. I said, yeah, why not?
After a whirlwind romance, the couple got married and then took on another big challenge. 7 years ago, they bought the post office shop in Kingswear that was up for sale.
It's like a community post office.
Everyone needs a post office in some kind of way.
Because we have a lot of elderly people. They come get their pension, and if they need help with anything, they call, can you come? It's kind of like being the heart of the village. Like, they depend on you for a lot of stuff.
Because Kingswear is so peaceful, Jason and Joe have never felt the need to install CCTV. But the ferry company's office a few doors down does have a camera covering their street, and the couple are about to be very grateful for that. It's late afternoon in the autumn. The shop is open as usual.
It was towards the end of the day almost, and it had been quiet.
But it won't be quiet for long. The ferry company's camera is recording as a man in a coat with his hood up walks to the entrance of the shop. He's visited the shop quite often before, but Jason and Joe don't know his name.
This guy was a customer of ours, always nice, but this day when he came in and he was acting weird.
He goes to the drinks cabinet and is there for a long, long time just staring and staring.
The man eventually picks up an energy drink.
But he didn't come up front. He then went over to the magazines and he just stared at the magazines. He wasn't reading them, he was just staring at them. I said, do you need help? And he's like, no. And he just stared for like 5 minutes. I had a really bad feeling, and it was kind of a warm day, so I thought, what's he wearing a hoodie for? It's too hot. I thought, he's got big pockets. He's gonna try to put something in his pocket. I don't trust him.
She sort of whispered to me when she could, I think he's gonna pinch something or whatever. And I thought, no, because he's been enough times, we've had no problems with him.
But Jason's wrong. He's standing behind the till when the man comes up to him.
And then all of a sudden, a knife comes out.
Joe is in the post office section of the shop.
I hear the guy say, step back. And my husband, who never curses, said a curse word, and he said, oh, he's got a knife.
I was both surprised and shocked, especially as I knew him. And he was just the other side of the counter, so if he wanted to, he could have just reached and touched me like that. You know, he's that close.
The robber comes round to the till while Jason backs away to join Joe in the post office area. It's heavily protected with an automatic locking door and bulletproof glass.
Luckily, Jason was smart enough to step into the fortress with me, and we shut the door. We're locked in, and he can't get into the post office, so he can't get anything from the post office, but he was at the till.
The robber greedily stuffs notes into his pockets, so Joe presses the shop's panic alarm.
It was so loud, you just saw the look on his face as he's got money in his hand, and then he just took off.
The ferry office's camera catches the robber leaving the shop.
There's relief that he's gone, but then at the same time, he's gone. Where is he?
Jason and Joe rush out, but they can't see the man.
One of the customers outside had seen him come out really quickly and told Jace, are you looking for that guy? And he's like, he's just going up the back steps. So then I picked up the phone and I called 999. And I think it started to hit me while I was on the phone with them because I started to shake while I was telling her what happened.
We've just been robbed, and he's got a knife. He's still there, is he? He's in the area, I think. Somebody saw him run out. He took money from the till.
The call goes out over the police radio. The officer on duty is Neighbourhood Sergeant Ian Simons.
Dartmouth and Kingswear is a very safe place, and that sort of crime is just unheard of.
Ian has to get over to Kingswear. The quickest way is across the river.
Went on emergency blue lights to the ferry, which then takes us over. Luckily, the post office is immediately as you get off the ferry.
He gets to Jason and Joe within minutes. They discovered the robbers taken £500 from their till.
I was just so angry at him, and I was angry that he pulled a knife on my husband.
Ian goes to the ferry office to check the footage from their security camera and gets an instant result. He recognises the robber. It's a man from Dartmouth.
I was confident that that was him, one because of his coat he's wearing, but he's got a very distinctive gait in his walk, so circulated his name and description to officers looking for him.
By now, reinforcements have arrived in Kingswear and Dartmouth to look for the armed offender.
There was like 6 police cars.
The helicopter was out, there was armed police as well.
While all this is going on, the fugitive is boarding the other ferry to Dartmouth that operates higher up the river. He's hoping to evade the police, but one thing he hasn't counted on is the speed of the local grapevine.
One of our posties came in, and he got a phone call from one of our other posties who's on the other side in Dartmouth, and he says, are you looking for so-and-so? And my postie said, yeah. He's like, well, he's right here, he just went into the pub.
And in that pub over the river, barman Luke is serving the man.
I've known him probably all my life, as long as I can remember.
Luke's noticed the police activity for the last hour, but doesn't know who they're searching for.
Just made the joke of, are they looking for you? Knowing full well, probably.
The man's fidgety behaviour increases Luke's suspicions.
He was very anxious, always looking outside, and that's when I started to think, I need to tell someone. I can't pick up the phone and ring them, because he's here.
Luke doesn't know the police are already closing in on the pub. When he sees a patrol car has pulled up nearby, he says he's going out for a cigarette. His plan is to go and tell the police about the man at the bar. But the suspect suddenly gets spooked and legs it out of the back door.
I ran across the road. I said, are you looking for the person in question? He just ran out the back door of the pub, down into the market square. As soon as I said that, police car was going past me. There was police cars going up the road, down the road.
The robber isn't able to get very far before officers apprehend him. At this point, he doesn't have a knife, but he does have something else incriminating.
The man was found with the £500 in cash on him and was arrested for the robbery and taken to custody.
News of the robber's arrest quickly reaches Joe and Jason.
Just overwhelmed, I was almost in tears.
Thank God. You know, they've caught him. This is over.
It's great, this person had been found by the community, working together, very proud of their town and want to keep it safe as much as the police do.
And they won't be seeing this man around for a while. In court, the 34-year-old pleaded guilty to the post office robbery and was sent down for 3 years. In the months that followed, Joe and Jason gradually got over their frightening experience with the help of the locals.
The amount of gifts we got flowers as well, bottles of wine, all sorts of things.
Saying, you know, we love you, please don't leave. You know, I'm sorry that this happened.
Then you know that people really do appreciate you.
But we'd like to be here for a long time because we love it. It's a really good place.
Fortunately, it's very rare for anyone to come face to face with someone wielding a weapon. But what can people do if they're unlucky enough to find themselves in such a frightening situation?
If you're confronted by an armed criminal, don't put yourself in a corner to make yourself more vulnerable than what you already are, but equally don't trap them in a corner, leaving them very little options apart from to try and escape by fighting their way past you. Give them an escape route.
If you're confronted by an armed person and you're not in a situation where you can get out of the way immediately, then communication is the best tool that you've got. But it's essential that you remain calm.
The offender's likely to be pumped full of adrenaline, so calm the situation down. Slow, steady movements.
You really need to try and get some space between you and them. And if you can, try and get an object in between. If you're inside, that might be a table or some chairs, other furniture, or outside, some hedging or a car, for example.
If it's appropriate and it doesn't escalate the situation, make some fuss, make a noise.
By making more people aware of what's happening, there is a greater chance that individual is likely to run away, flee from that particular scene, and therefore keeps you safe and potentially other members of the public safe as well.
We're back in East London, where PC Mian Ikram of the British Transport Police is searching for the pickpocket responsible for a spate of thefts. Women with backpacks are being targeted, their phones, cash and bank cards stolen. For one victim, Ivy, who's recently suffered a bereavement, this crime is an added stress.
I was very, very jumpy. I cry as well. I feel shaking every time even I speak to someone about the incident, because it was all new to me. The shock was intensified inside me.
Mian's already been alerted to over 20 thefts from women in a matter of weeks and is getting new cases almost every day. He and his team begin analysing CCTV footage of each incident to try and identify the thief.
We were not sure whether it's the one person or it's a whole organised group.
It's proving difficult because many of the victims only realised that they had valuables taken sometime afterwards.
They could not recall when the incident exactly took place. So we have to secure the CCTV of multiple locations in every single angle to get the best shot.
But one man is repeatedly spotted around the time of the crimes, and Mian has his prime suspect.
I know my person now. I know it's the same person, it's nobody else is operating it, so I'm looking towards one single target.
He also discovers that although the man always does the actual stealing, he doesn't work alone.
Main suspect had a number of accomplices, different females.
Mian works out the thief's pattern. He turns up at a railway station with his accomplice and they set about looking for female tourists with backpacks.
They assess the vulnerability. They have chosen their target already. That's a female and they are following her.
The thief waits for the right moment to pounce. When this woman struggles to get through a barrier, he reaches out for her bag.
I don't believe that he managed to take out anything from her bag.
So the thief and his accomplice regroup. They choose another target and follow her onto an escalator. The jostling that usually happens on escalators helps to mask him undoing the victim's backpacks.
He's constantly going up and down an escalator. It doesn't seem to be that they are successful every time.
The accomplice stands just behind the thief to block the view of what he's up to. Both his hands are on his victim's bag when they reach the top of the escalator.
Whether he managed to remove anything or not, that particular victim did not report to us. But literally within 2.5 minutes, there's two attempted thefts.
The thief rapidly identifies another target. The speed at which he operates is truly astonishing.
He's right behind her and trying to open her back. That's a matter of 5 minutes and we have a 3 victim at Canary Wharf station.
Day after day, the thief stalks different stations. At times, he appears to be working alone. Mian knows there's an accomplice waiting somewhere. Here, he's following someone, but gives up on her and selects another victim. He follows her down to a platform. But a moment later, he's running back up again. Perhaps someone spotted him and shouted thief, because members of the public seem to be trying to stop him. When the thief eventually succeeds in stealing a purse containing a bank card, he gives it to a female accomplice, who then goes shopping with it.
They knew that the new bank cards are contactless cards and they can use it instantly.
The man also sometimes goes shopping himself. A contactless payment card allows them to spend up to £30 without the need for a PIN number or ID. And they can do it several times before the banking system asks for the PIN.
Tobacco, lottery cards, alcohol, these are the main spendings.
They buy goods which can easily be sold on. When the thief took Ivy's bank cards, he was able to spend even more of her money via online shopping because of other personal information in her purse. He paid for expensive items on a shop's website, then picked them up from the shop without the need for further checks.
They're collecting a large screen TV, a couple of mobiles, and a game player.
They spent more than £2,000 of Ivy's hard-earned money in various shops.
Makes my blood boil, if you ask me honestly.
It becomes clear why the thief uses female partners in crime.
The reason he has female accomplices, he has specifically targeted female passengers. To use the bank cards in different shops, it only comes handy the person who's carrying a card is a female.
Mian is determined to stop this thief in his tracks. He takes images of his face from the railway and shop CCTV footage and circulates them round the British Transport Police and all the other forces in London. He hopes a colleague will recognise the man.
It was just a wait game, and during that wait game we received another 3-4 incidents.
A few days later, Mian gets the call he's been waiting for. An officer has recognised the thief.
He is telling me that I know this fellow, and you know, it was jubilation. It was absolutely exciting moment for me for this particular. That's yes, I know I'm gonna get it.
The suspect has recently been released from prison just days before the spate of thefts began. He doesn't have a current address, so officers have to watch out for him in his usual hunting grounds. Within days, he's spotted and the police moved to arrest him.
He put up a fight, but he was arrested eventually. He was arrested for resisting a lawful arrest as well.
The man's crime spree is over at last. Altogether, he'd stolen from 35 victims. Mian's team pieces together all the CCTV footage, shop receipts, bank statements and the man's mobile phone records to build a case so strong that he realises he has no option but to plead guilty.